5B.07 Data Classification. Subdivision 1 Classification of Data. Paragraph A. Except for a program participant's name and designated address, all data collected, created, or maintained by the Secretary of State. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I'm just reading from my copy of Minnesota Statutes 2018. Why, you may ask, would I be reading from a copy of Minnesota Statutes in a presentation on worship resources? We'll come back to that. My name is Justin Carlson, and I am a lifelong member of First Christian Church Minneapolis. First Christian Church Minneapolis has every year done a Laity Sunday service in January, February, that time. Laity Sunday is a service that is planned and carried out by the congregation, by the laity. The pastors play no role in it, and it's an opportunity to, remind ourselves that we're technically a congregational denomination, and we theoretically don't need pastors. So, from 2017 until about a year and a half ago, I was working for the Office of the Reviser of Statutes in Minnesota. And that's the office that prepares and publishes this, as well as drafts and edits legislative documents. And this is just volume 1 of a 13-volume work. While I was working there, I was active at First Christian Church. And in 2018, as Laity Sunday was approaching, the worship committee leader asked me to organize Laity Sunday. And for some reason, I said, sure. So I was specifically tasked with organizing a group of young adults to do Laity Sunday. So I asked all of the young adults, will you be willing to help? And they all said yes. One of them said, do not ask me to read anything or to speak. Fine. So we organized a service. We used our choir. We used the staff musicians. We, for the sermon, decided to do a bunch of worship stations. And we used the materials that the denomination provides for congregations to use on Laity Sunday. As part of that, I was looking at the scriptural text, and I realized I didn't really know what it was saying, why it was saying that, and so I decided to look up some historical context, give myself a better understanding, and I decided to share that. So I spoke for about 4 minutes before we went into the worship stations, and folks seemed to value that. Apparently, it was valued because I was asked to organize this again the next year. And for some reason, I said yes. So that next year, we were organizing things. We got a little bit of a late start. Didn't have as much sort of creative ideas for worship stations, and also we decided we didn't want to repeat the same thing. So we organized some of the stuff together. Similarly, we used the choir, we used our deacons, we used the elders, all members of the laity. And for the sermon, I decided, well, maybe I'll try preaching. I like speaking in front of crowds. I have done it before, and maybe I should write something to say. So I looked at the text, and, well, it was the creation story. There was something else in there, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know how to edit. So if I were to look at this scripture as an editor of legal texts, what would that do? And it was wonderful. It opened things up that I'd never thought about before. And I shared that experience, talked it through, gave some context about what I do at the Reviser of Statutes office and what what the text showed me. And, well, folks found it valuable. And I was asked again the next year to organize Laity Sunday. And the theme that the disciples provided was something about friendship and community. And so I broadened out, rather than only asking the young adults, I also asked the folks who were young adults when I was a kid. And they were very willing to help, and we shared friendship stories. And it was a really lovely, lovely service. Now, having gone through this, having organized these, I realized that I like doing this stuff and would love to do it with some regularity. And so, with prodding and gentle direction, I decided to apply for seminary. And now I'm here, and I'm seeking ordination, and I guess perhaps I'll be working as a pastor. So I'm no longer at the Reviser of Statutes office, but I'm hopeful that some of those skills will help me in the future. So, what are some of the things that I learned through this process? Well, remember the person who told me, do not ask me to speak, do not ask me to read, I am willing to help. I am pretty sure that that person has now served as worship leader. But not often. However, asking gives people an opportunity to say yes. If I had not been asked to organize Laity Sunday, I probably would have never volunteered. And Laity Sunday is an opportunity for us to reassert that we are a congregational, a laity-led denomination. And what that means is every member of the congregation has wisdom, has experience, has outside skills that they can offer to the body as a whole. And so we often say we know this. We often say different people have different gifts. All of the parts are necessary for the body. But here's something that we don't necessarily think about all the time. Those gifts are not constantly preordained. They can grow, they can change. And so, at various times, some folks are more willing to help with organizing, others with speaking, others with thinking ahead and planning. That's usually not me. But apparently, I was able to think ahead and plan a service. So, each of us brings something unique to a congregation, and sometimes it's helpful to approach a spiritual problem using a technique that we practice in our daily lives. For me, that was editing legal text. For other folks, it might be pipe fitting, approaching a plumbing problem. There's all sorts of gifts that we bring and experience we bring into the congregation. So, Laity Sunday. Doesn't have to be every Sunday. We still like to have our pastors. I mean, I'm planning to work as one. But it gives congregations the opportunity to identify the gifts, the strengths they have within themselves, and also helps us identify where a congregation can grow.